Greetings, everyone. Happy Friday. How's everybody doing today? Today is Venus Day, and so Venus is currently at the 14th degree of Cancer. Venus is the planet that it really rules our feelings. It's all about relationship. It's, Venus is a really profound archetype and energy because done well, it is the balance between your emotions and the external world. It's your ability to really relate to your emotions and understand their connection to our external world and the information that they're giving, right? But how this shows up, it shows up as your relationship to food, your relationship to other people, your relationship to aesthetics, your connection to beauty, and it's all about the senses, right? So it's Aphrodite and Oshun, and it becomes a very, in the Western mind, it becomes something that's very decadent and driven towards pleasure, and we need that, but there has to be balance. That's the thing about Venus. There must be balance because without the balance, it becomes addiction. And it's hard to know the difference because Venus is charming. If you know people who have a lot of Venus in their chart, I have a friend in my life who is they have a Venus, they are a Taurus moon and their Taurus is profoundly seductive just by the nature of who they are. They're not even trying to be seductive. Just the way they think and breathe and the tone of their voice and just their natural way of being is seductive. And I just love witnessing it because I get to see how Venus shows up in our lives when we are, how Venus shows up in our lives. I brought my cats out, and I don't actually see them right now, but you know what? I'm going to trust the process. It's going to be okay. They know where I am. So this Venus energy has to be balanced. It has to be. And even in your practice of it or your conditioning of it or you're relating to it. Oh yeah, there's one right there. And you're relating to it. You have this opportunity to strike balance because, like I said, gone too far, it becomes addiction, right? So wine and food and sugar and all that stuff is Venus. You need it, but you don't need too much of it, right? And when you overuse these energies, okay. So I was saying, when you overuse these energies, when you don't use them with wisdom, when you over cultivate it, it becomes something that really isn't reliable and you need it. So you have to have a mature relationship with your Venus energy. Otherwise, it can trap you in situations that don't really allow you to grow in the way that you truly need to. And how I see this in my own life, and I see this in people's lives that I coach, is many of us, like people have an interesting relationship with alcohol, right? People have an interesting relationship with wine and alcohol. And in and of itself, it's beautiful. It's a really beautiful thing. But when one glass becomes 3 glasses or a bottle, like what we don't understand is that, on some level that's cultural and maybe it's harmless, but it impacts your brain functioning, the relationship to your hormones and your sugars and all of that sort of stuff. And it has a spirit with it. And so it will impede you from it will impede you from your growth. That's all I can say. I have seen it. I have seen it in I have seen it in my own life, and I've seen it in people that I coach. Just this, it's something about, it's really the sugar. It's not even the wine. It's not the wine, it's the sugar. And the alcohol carries the sugar, and the sugars really are entities, y'all. They are entities that are designed to keep you addicted, and it's kind of like a cultural terrorism, honestly, like our relationship to sugar. It's like one of the ways that they keep us trapped because of this, because we're so fixated on sugar and the need for it, and we do it in all these incredible ways. But that's Venetian stuff. All of that stuff is Venus. All of those things are Venetian things, because we need things that make us feel good. We need that. We need pleasure. You cannot fucking live without pleasure. But you have to be very mindful of where you get your pleasures. And are they pleasures that are actually going to trap you in them? Or are they pleasures that are going to enhance your evolution and your growth? Because you have to know the difference. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Do you hear me? Okay. And these things are very subtle. And it's easy to not even consider them as something to look at. It's all good. Don't do that. Okay. Yeah. It's easy to even consider them, to not consider them as something to look at. But it's important for us to just be in integrity with ourselves, and to always be willing to tell ourselves the truth. Always be willing to question yourself. Always make sure that you have a friend or somebody in your life that you can be vulnerable with. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine the other day, and I was like, you need that kind of girlfriend. You can be like, girl, could you come over here and look at my pussy and see if there's what this thing is on it? Like, you have to have high levels of accountability wired into your life. Otherwise, if you don't, you can get stuck in places that you don't have to be stuck in, but because you're not being willing to tell yourself the truth or hold yourself accountable, your growth stops. So, Venus at the 14th degree of Cancer. Venus at the 14th degree of Cancer is really our innermost feelings, or your most secret feelings, your the stuff that you don't want nobody to know. Like, you have to be willing to check that part of you. You have to be willing to see yourself wholly if you're going to live a life where you're committed to growth and healing. And you have to be able to love every part of you. Every part. Everything, right? Like, I have made some decisions that were just fucking unbelievable. I have made decisions that are unbelievable. I remember once I was at this man's house, and Spirit told me, don't get too comfortable here. This is not where you want to be. He was somebody that I was romantically involved with. We were sexual. Let's say that. We were sexual. But that's not what was going on at the time. And I was so comfortable, and I said, well, can I just stay? And I said, I don't want to have sex. And that's not what happened, because I put myself in a situation because I wasn't using my wisdom. And I didn't protect myself, right? And so it's important that we are willing to tell ourselves the truth about the things that we create and the situations that we get into in our lives. If you can't tell yourself the truth, you won't be able to grow. It's just not how it works. It's not always easy to tell the truth, but it's important to know that the things that we experience are here for our growth. They're not here to make us feel ashamed or awful about who we are. They're here to help us grow. And the things that we're experiencing are often connected to our ancestral patterns. So where you might be blaming yourself or ashamed, this is ancestral work. We're doing deep work, y'all. And the culture doesn't give you an inclination that this is deep work. The culture has you at odds with yourself and afraid and all these narratives about stuff that doesn't mean anything. When at the core, what's really true, what's really happening is these painful sexual patterns and addiction patterns and relationship patterns. We're here to heal this stuff. We're here to heal it, which is why we're failing at it, because we're not doing the work to heal it. We're continually blaming and finger pointing and, and not being willing to tell the truth about how it feels and what you got going on and where it came from. If you're not willing to tell the truth, you're not going to win. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, great. My aunt, come on. If you're not going to be willing to tell the truth, you can't. Come down. Thank you. If you can't, come on, my aunt, let's go. If you're not going to tell yourself the truth, then you can't heal. If you're only looking at other people and their problems, then that means you're not looking at yourself. There's that Bible scripture that says, remove the log from your own eye before you talk about the log in your brother's eye. I mean, I've spent 50 years looking at the log in my own eye. 50 fucking years. 50 years. I mean, I really don't have shit to say about anybody else. I really don't. I get it. Because when I tell myself the truth about my own shit, oh my goodness, Lord, it is stanky. And guess what? I love it. I love my humanity. I love the things that I go through that give me an opportunity to dig into who I really am and then choose to be different or choose to be more or choose. But whatever it is, I'm going to choose loving myself. I'm going to choose loving myself. And so that is the work of this Venus energy and being able to to balance between, what's pleasure and what's pain, what's good for you and what's not. What are the behaviors? Why are they there? What actually is serving you? What actually is hindering you? What's your vision? Where are you going? What you doing? What you doing? What are you doing? What are you focusing on? Because that's what you're doing. Where are you putting all your attention? Because that's where you're going to be, right? Like really understanding how it works so that you can be true to it and take responsibility. Take responsibility. It's all good. It's okay. It's okay. We're all doing our best. We're all fucking it up. We all are. Look at the world. We've all contributed to this. This world is a fucking shit show. That's you. That's you. And me. We did that shit. We did that. And guess what? Okay. If we can create this, if we can accept that we are a part of this creation, then we can begin to ask what else is possible. Well, then what else can I do? If I can fuck it up this bad, how else can I fuck it up? How else can I fuck it up? Because there's more. There's more. And we have to be willing to play along. We have to be willing to call ourselves to the table. We have to be willing to, make a mess. Have fun. Be in the pain. Let it go. Start again. That's all it is. All right, y'all. So today is, like I said, the Venus is in Cancer, which is about really just go back to your childhood, because Cancer is all the childhood stuff. And so it's like, what did you feel about yourself in your childhood? So that's where we made all of our decisions that are still running us now. When we were 6 years old, 7 years old, things that you don't even remember in your conscious mind, you're still living out in your emotional body. That happened when you were 3 and 4 and 5, all that sort of stuff, right? You're still somebody. I remember, I have a story. I remember being in a J.C. Penney's or something, and there was a little girl who was light skinned and she had a long black braided ponytail. and going to the back. And maybe we were 4 or something like that. And my mother said she was pretty. My mother was like, oh my God, what a pretty little girl. And I had never heard my mother say I was pretty, ever. So I really, I took a picture of what that little girl looked like and decided that that was what my mother thought was pretty and that it meant I wasn't pretty. And so that has been running me, that up until when I started really working on it, that had been running me for years. For years, I was in a colorism, blah, blah, all this, I'm not all that kind of stuff, just for years. And so it's important for us to do the work, to dig into what's running us and why, because it really does impede upon the way you function and the way you behave in the world. It really is impacting how you move through the world. And so we are still in this new moon energy, and it's very intense. And with the intensity and these heavy transits that we have going on right now, there is an opportunity for us to really let go of some stuff that isn't serving us. So if there are things that are happening that feel really painful, just lean into it to the best of your ability. Feel it. Don't run from it. Feel what it really feels like, and ask for support and nurture yourself and drink, water and nice fluids and all of that. But this energy is intense. And if you can breathe, then just breathe through it. And if your mind is running with stories, just say thank you, but no thank you. Thank you, but no thank you. Put on some affirmations, put on some music, put on something that will really soothe you, do things that will soothe you. And allow, like if you were an unhappy child, right? If you were like an unhappy 3-year-old, and what would you do if you had an unhappy 3-year-old? Just soothe, like, it's okay, baby, just soothe. All right, y'all. On Venus Day, I ask for donations. If the work that I do really benefits you and you feel called to support this work and me in it, I would love that. You can donate at my Cash App at $ Monique Ruffin, or you can donate at my Venmo at @Monique-Ruffin, Ruffin. And you can just say thank you. You can, whatever works for you. I appreciate you. I'm very grateful that I'm able to listen in the way that I do. And I'm very grateful that I have learned how to read the symbols and the energy in the way that I can, because it makes my life so much easier. There were things that I went through when I was young that just, that's not even possibilities for me anymore. Like, those things don't even show up any longer, because I have understood that those were energetic experiences that were anchored in my karma and my family trauma and the condition of this country and this nation, which is horribly oppressive and terroristic to most of its citizens. And as I felt that so deeply, I started to do the questioning, why am I feeling this way? And when I started studying the cosmology and the astrology and realized what was happening, I was like, oh, okay, how do I get out of this shit then? Because there's always a solution. And so I'm grateful for all of us who are here, who get to benefit, who really understand the language that I speak. So peace and blessings, everyone. I love you guys. Have a really beautiful day. Bye-bye.